Hi everyone, I'm just going to take you through this sample commentary, which is at an A grade level, so I'm going to take you through what I think is effective about it, but also some slight improvements I would have made. Okay, now this is Zish's example. He started his commentary in a really good way in terms of reasserting what the question was asking him to do. So he said what the format was, which would be an information leaflet. So the audience would be people seeking bereavement or coping advice. So we know that the leaflet is designed to advise. So you can do this with whatever question you've been given. So we could have a newspaper, a TV documentary, in terms of who the audience is and also what they're seeking. So are they seeking to be persuaded or to be advised? The use of subtitles was to keep the information something manageable amounts and to stay true to the format of an informal something. The tone of sensitivity to the topic was achieved by repeated use of words relating to the semantic field of sadness, such as endure, pain. Okay, so we've got some really good things here in terms of the limited time scale and the amount of words that you've actually got to use. So we started straight away with the use of whatever it is, was to keep the information coming in increasingly manageable amounts. I'm not quite sure what it says over here. And to stay true to the format of an informal text. Okay, so we've got the level of formality included, which is great. We've got the use subtitles and we've got a reason for that. Okay, so whatever you spot in terms of the use of something was designed to. So you always then have to connect back to the audience, format, etc. that you've mentioned at the very start of your commentary. Okay. So the tone of sensitivity to the topic was achieved by repeated use of words relating to the semantic field of sadness. So we've got the semantic field here. We've got tone, which is probably another good point to have near the start of your piece. What he's then done is select specific words that would relate to that semantic field, so we've got the evidence there as well. The feeling of not being alone through a tough time, like dealing with the loss of a loved one, was by synthetically listing your friends, your neighbours, your family. Again, we've got a quote, we've got terminology, and the repetition of the possessive pronoun your was to emphasise that these people are still there for whoever is reading the leaflet. Okay, so clearly all the way through we're thinking about audience, we've got terminology being used, which is fantastic. The use of the metaphor, the height of these mountains you need to climb, will seem a lot smaller, was to give some reference to the bereavement being something that can be overcome slowly but surely. The sentences were usually simple with some descriptive adjectives in going through the pain of losing a loved one can be excruciating. This was to keep information manageable. Okay, so again, we've got kind of a reason. However, one thing that I've said down here is why does it need to be manageable? So think about what the people who are reading the leaflet are going through. How are they feeling? How are they coping with things? Why does the content therefore need to be manageable? Okay, so to some extent, this just needs to extend his analysis here. Okay, a formal register was kept through the use of vocabulary, such as something, practical points. This was alone to not make the leaflet light-hearted and keep a level of sensitivity about the information. So again, why does there need to be a level of sensitivity? Because you're trying to engage the reader, you're trying to inform them, you're trying to advise them more being the purpose here. And so why do you need levels of sensitivity? So whatever your commentary is, if you're saying it needed to be informal, it needed to be formal, it needed to be sensitive, it needed to be cynical, it needed to be humorous, why does it need to have that kind of sense to it? So then you're linking back to audience and purpose every single time. The other aspect of this is that we've got one big long paragraph which should actually be separated up so that each one is just explored in a little bit more detail relating back to audience and purpose and then separated up. Okay. One thing that I'm going to do now is just to give you some ideas about how you might structure this. Okay, so you start with rephrase the question. Okay, so you're going to refer to all the elements of the question that were significant. Okay, so in rephrasing the question, you're going to look at the format that you were given. You're going to look at the audience. And you're also going to reference the purpose, which are all significant at this point. Okay, so you're going to rephrase the question. Secondly, I think you're going to look at tone. Okay, tone is important in the original article, so you can look at how you chose to recast. So think about the original and why you chose to recast in this way for this particular format, audience, and purpose. After you've done those two things, you're just going to go through a series of points where you find evidence from what you've written. Now, within that evidence, you need to get through pizza slice left over from Wednesday, and you need to find as many examples from here as you can. Okay, so ideally we're going to have one thing from each to show that you've used a wide range of devices, and all of this is going to connect back to format, audience, and purpose. So if you've used alliteration, for example, how does that connect in with what you were designing for the audience? If you use certain sentence structures, how does that link in with your particular purpose? Okay, so every terminology that's identified, you need to relate back to format, audience, and purpose. You also need to quote. So just as you would analysing any other text, find the evidence. Okay, so if you've used a rule of three, find the evidence for it, quote it, relate it back. If you've used certain semantic field, quote the particular words, relate it back. Okay, so we're looking for a wide range of terminology, and all you're going to really do is say the use of, and you're going to insert your terminology, insert your quote, was designed to, and that's where you link back in with your audience, purpose, context. Okay, obviously there are different phrasing you can use down here, and we'd like to see variety in that, but ultimately if you include all of these elements you will pass. Those of you wanting A's and B's, we're going to have to vary this kind of phrasing so that it's different each time, but ultimately you'll do very well as long as you include a wide range of these technical elements, and you rephrase the question from the start so that you're able to reference back every single time. Okay, if there's not enough reference and there's not enough analysis, you won't succeed as highly as you might like to. Okay, so that is a commentary.